Okay. I'm Lynn Cahoon. This is my third fur baby. I guess I never put him on the bio. He's gonna bite me, I think. Um, I'm a cozy mystery author. I have 4 current series going. Guidebook to Murder, it was my first book. It released in 2014. And it is set in California on the coast in a little tourist trap. That's why it's called the Tourist Trap Mysteries. She owns a bookstore, which is the pretty building right here, which is also a coffee shop. And that's Jill Gardner is my main amateur sleuth in that one. The most recent book in that series is Picture Perfect Frame. And as all of the all of the mysteries go, they always have the picture of one of the buildings in South Cove. So on the front, on the cover. So you always get a visual of what South Cove, California might look like. Pulled the wrong book. Okay. The other series I have is my Kat Latimer series. Kat is a YA writer out of Colorado, and she runs a writer's retreat. So unfortunately, people die at these writer's retreats. So she has to solve the mysteries so she can keep her retreats going. This one was the series was stopped by my publisher, but I am publishing on my own the next at least 2 books in it. So the next book on this is coming out is a novella called Body in the Book Drop. It's a library novella, which I thought you'd like. And then there'll be a Cat 8 or Cat 7, which will come around Christmas time, which will be a killer Christmas wish. So Farm to Fork was my next series. And it is a farm to table restaurant she owns, and she's the chef there with her best friend. And unfortunately, in the first book, when she's setting up her little farm to fork restaurant in a town called Riverview, Idaho, her dairy farmer, the goat cheese provider, the dairy farmer guy dies. So this is who moved my goat cheese. So these are all around food, which is a common theme if you've read any of my books. And then finally, the book we're going to read today is the Kitchen Witch series. This is a light paranormal. So if you're thinking it's really heavy into witchcraft and spells and shifters and all of that, it's not. It's mostly about the mystery. And she's a new business owner. She leaves Boise and moves up to this little town called Magic Springs where her grandmother lives. And she's opening up a catering / food delivery place / cooking school. And because in little towns, you have to do everything. And of course, with COVID going, you have to have the delivery services too. So it's all in there. This one came out in January. The follow-up full book is 2 Wicked Desserts. It comes out in August, and in between, there's also 2 novellas in the series just to get you interested in knowing a little bit about Mia Malone and her grandmother and the people of Magic Springs. So this is the one I'm going to read out of today. So, chapter 1. Karma sucks. Mia Malone slapped at the roller filled with cottage yellow paint on the wall. She'd missed another spot. Her lack of attention was one more thing on the long list of karma credits she could blame on her ex, Isaac. If karma didn't smack down the lowlife soon, she had several ideal spells just waiting to be used on the rat. Maybe she'd like to develop a rash, or be turned into a toad to match his true personality. A line of yellow paint dripped off the roller and onto the scratched wood floor. She set the roller on the paint pan and with a rag wiped out the paint before it could dry. Maybe a run would be more productive right now. She could burn off the pent-up energy tingling through her fingers, teasing her with all the curses she could inflict. She took a deep, calming breath. Magic came back threefold. She needed to control her impulses, keeping her anger in check. And as much as she wanted Isaac to pay for his betrayal, she didn't need any more help in the bad luck department. Sighing, she sat cross-legged on the floor to the middle of the half-painted schoolroom and tried to envision her new life. A noise echoed through the empty schoolhouse. Had the door open? Mia, her grandmother called. Are you here, dear? To your left, Grands. Mia stood and dusted off the butt of her worn jeans, imagining dusting off Isaac and his bad energy at the same time. Keeping her karma clean seemed to be a full-time job since she left Boise. Mary Alice Carpenter, tall and willowy, stood in the doorway to the foyer. The curl in her short gray hair was the only physical trait Grands and Mia shared. Mia stood a good 5 inches shorter than the older woman, and Mia's curves would have made her prime model material, about 100 years ago. Besides her curly hair, she had inherited power from her maternal grandmother. While her mother had turned away from the lure of magic, choosing instead a life as a corporate lawyer's wife, Mia had embraced her heritage. Her grandmother took one look at her and groaned. I knew he wouldn't stay gone. That boy is worse than spilled milk. You just can't get rid of the smell. I can handle Isaac. Mia gave her grandmother a hug. You don't have to worry about him. Grandma's eyebrows rose. Are you sure, dear? I've done a few transmutations in my time that may be quite appropriate. Mia bit back a laugh and glanced around the large room. Seriously, don't get involved. That part of my life is over. I've made a fresh start. You've bought a rundown money pit that's going to bankrupt you, just trying to keep the place warm. A second woman followed her grandmother into the room, shoving a cell phone into her coach bag. Sorry, had to take that. Apparently, my long-lost nephew is gracing us with his presence at my birthday party. Probably needs money. Adele, so nice to see you. Mia managed to choke out after a death stare from her grandmother. Adele Simpson stood next to Gran and glanced around the room, noticeable disgust covering her face. Mary Alice, this is what you fought so hard with the board to save? The building should be on the historical register. You and I both know it would have already been protected if it sat in Sun Valley city limits. Magic Springs is always an afterthought with the historical commission. Gran slipped off the down coat that had made her look like a stuffed panda. Mia watched the women bicker. Adele, the meanest woman in Magic Springs, was the dark to Gran's light, and for some unbeknownst reasons, Gran's best friend. She was also Mia's first and only client for her new venture, so far, she admitted. Gritting her teeth, Mia forced her lips into what she hoped was a passable smile. Ladies, welcome to Mia's Morsels. She glanced around the room, sweeping her arm as she turned. Currently, you're in the reception area where staff and students will gather before classes and where we'll do most of the daily work scheduling. Here, customers will be able to sample dishes and peruse a weekly menu of available meals. You sound like a commercial, grandchild. It's just us. You don't have to put on the sales pitch. You don't have to, Mia smiled, just trying it out. I've got a lot of work to do before I can even think about opening. She nodded to the half-painted wall. Do you like the color?